Hello everyone, this is Maki. Let's watch episode 5 of the new G Gundam story. We have Master Junior, the son of Master Asia, and H Cash, the daughter of Domon and Rain. Then there's Wong Fat, the ruler of the Guyana Highlands. Domon Cash, forced to work as Wong's bodyguard under the threat of Master Asia's treasure being used as leverage. Where will their story lead? And what is the true meaning behind Kiju Shoujo, the technique Master Asia passed on to Master Junior? Ki means radiant or shining. Ju means jewel, often used to describe a gem-like stone. Shou means hand. Jo means above or on top. Together they can be interpreted as a shining jewel rests on the hand. Now let's dive into episode 5. The underground was filled with smoke from the smoke screen H had set up. Escaping from Wong, H grabbed Junior's hand and led him to the surface. Junior stood in shock, dazed after seeing Copy Asia, a replica of Master Asia created by Wong. Then he noticed that the streets of the Guyana Special Zone were in complete chaos. H speculated Wong must have put the whole city on high alert to catch us. For now, they returned to the cockpit of the Shining Gundam. As H tended to Junior, tears welled up in her eyes. She murmured, "My father is such a fool. I'm sorry." It wasn't just that Junior had been hurt. What hurt H even more was the fact that she was siding with Wong, who was toying with Junior's father's life. Still dazed, Junior asked, "What do we do now?" H replied, "You stay hidden here. No matter what happens, don't show yourself." She wanted to prepare for their escape from Guyana. H dashed off to town. Meanwhile, Junior inspected the arm of the Master Gundam. He suddenly thought of transferring the remaining energy from the arm of the Master Gundam to the Shining Gundam. If I use the remaining energy for the Shining Gundam, Junior started to refuel the Shining Gundam. The cockpit lights went out, plunging Junior into darkness. In the silence, he remembered Domon's words. Each of our martial arts techniques has its own sound. And the true meaning lies in the exchange of blows through these sounds. Junior struggled to understand the meaning of Domon's words. The scene shifted to the streets of the Guyana Special Zone. H arrived at a hidden room used by CDGC spies. "It's me. I must request an urgent rescue. Come out now." Responding to H's call, Shijima appeared. He asked, "The entire Guyana Special Zone is in chaos. Are you the cause?" H replied, "Yes, things have become a bit dangerous. I must contact the CDGC so that we can escape from Guyana." Shijima smiled slightly. "Yes, no problem, just stay here for now." Then he suddenly hit H. As her consciousness began to fade, H asked weakly, "What are you doing?" Shijima replied, "Sorry, I just switched sides. I played the role of a double agent. Leave the rest to me." H collapsed and lost consciousness. Shijima picked up his communicator and prepared to contact his master. The scene shifted to the CDGC headquarters in New Japan, where Karoto appeared. He picked up his communicator and listened to Shijima's report. Shijima falsely reported that most of the DG dust in the Guyana Special Zone had already been dealt with. Believing the report, Karoto immediately started operations to thwart Wong's ambitions. "Alright, let's take down Wong along with the rest of the DG dust." One of Karoto's subordinates expressed concern about Domon's siding with Wong. But Karoto confidently replied, It's okay. There's no way Domon would turn against us. With that, he began to lead the operation. Meanwhile, Shijima smiled to himself as he confirmed that the space colony housing the CDGC headquarters had begun moving toward Earth. Then he took action to ensure that Wong's plan would succeed. The scene shifted once more, back to Junior in the cockpit of the Shining Gundam. H had gone to the city and still hadn't returned, so Junior became increasingly worried. Then, a massive tremor shook the entire Guyana region, violently shaking the air. Startled, Junior looked up at the sky. The CDGC colony was descending from space, heading for Earth. From the colony, Karoto gave orders to the descending forces. A massive deployment of Gundams began their descent toward the Guyana Special Zone. Watching the scene from afar, however, Wong wore a calm, confident smile. Among the descending forces of the CDGC were powerful Gundam fighters that had participated in the 13th Gundam fight. Graham, the Gundam fighter of Lumber Gundam, led the troops as their commander. Behind them, rows of soldier Gundams followed in formation. The Gundams began their invasion of the Guyana Special Zone. As the mobile fighters of the CDGC advanced, they moved unhindered and unaffected by any obstacles. Their advance was smooth, almost too smooth. No resistance, no counterattacks, just an eerie, unnatural silence. Then suddenly, a spotlight illuminated the darkness ahead. Standing in the beam of light was none other than Wong Yun-Fat. Facing the CDGC forces, Wong boldly declared, "I welcome you all on this momentous day. Today is the day I will leave Guyana and transform the entire world into Wong land." Karoto scoffed at Wong's absurd declaration, dismissing it with a sneer. But the moment Wong gave his signal, something began to move in the entire Guyana Special Zone. The Gundam fighters and Karoto watched in shock as a huge army of Death Army units appeared before their eyes. Karoto panicked. Shouldn't most of the DG dust have been dealt with? Then Shijima appeared from behind Wong. Karoto, furious at Shijima's betrayal, clenched his fists. Before he could react further, a pair of Gundams suddenly burst onto the battlefield. Skull Gundam and Usher Gundam. Effortlessly, the two Gundams tore through the Death Army units, cutting them down one by one. These weaklings are nothing more than dust, just as the name suggests. Seeing their overwhelming power, Graham gave the order to attack. The battle between the massive Gundam force and the Death Army had begun. Karoto roared, "Could never forgive the traitor Shijima." Seeing the relentless attack of the Gundams, Shijima began to panic. Wong, observing his distress, calmly reassured him, "Relax. There is no need to get excited." Then Wong hit a switch embedded in his own head. Hans, the pilot of the Mermaid Gundam, suddenly sensed something. "No, everyone, stop fighting without thinking." Graham also had a bad feeling, creeping up his spine. Meanwhile, Skull Gundam moved in to destroy a huge chunk of DG dust. But before it could strike, a shadowy figure appeared and sent the Skull Gundam flying. The Gundam fighters gasped in shock. Standing in front of them was none other than Domon. Domon blew away the Skull Gundam with his bare hands without even piloting the Gundam. Graham and Hans were shaken to the core. Domon had just attacked the Gundam fighters to protect DG Dust and Wong. Karoto, furious, shouted at Domon. But Domon stood firm and declared, "I don't want to lose what my master and father left behind." That's why I will protect Master Asia's treasure. I will fight to uphold my father's wishes. Skull Gundam and the Ashura Gundam prepared to attack Domon. But before they could strike, a powerful beam erupted from the massive clump of DG dust. Graham and Hans gasped in shock. Emerging from the DG dust was none other than the Dar Gundam. Under Graham's command, the Gundam forces began to retreat. However, Skull Gundam was caught in the Dar Gundam's grasp. Suddenly, a swarm of Gundam had swarmed over Skull Gundam, and in an instant, they devoured it. Then, Dar Gundam unleashed its most powerful weapon, the ultimate cannon. But the barrier surrounding the Guyana Special Zone blocked the attack. Karato smiled. It's like a birdcage. Even the Dar Gundam can't break through it. But Wong grinned when he heard Karato's words. Yes, it seems that attacks from inside the barrier are blocked. However, that only applies to inside the barrier. At that moment, the ultimate cannon fired again, this time hitting the CDGC colony directly. A massive explosion erupted, and the colony fell to earth. Satisfied, Wong began to explain to the stunned Karato. After consuming Skull Gundam, the Dar Gundam crushed Ashura Gundam under its foot and captured it. Then, using its DG cell turn rolls, it infiltrated Ashura Gundam's systems and began analyzing CDGC's programs. By extracting data from the external Gundams, the Dar Gundam had acquired the ability to bypass the barrier. And now it had begun to transfer this ability to the Death Army units. With their newfound power, the Death Army forces crossed the barrier and launched an attack on the corner posts that created it. Wong had been feeding false reports to the CDGC while secretly regenerating the Dar Gundam and mass-producing the Death Army. By luring CDGC's Gundams and stealing their data, he had successfully executed his plan. In the cockpit of the Shining Gundam, Junior watched the battle. He saw the Guyana Highlands, the land his father, Master Asia, had loved being destroyed, consumed by fire. His heart sank. Overwhelmed, Junior collapsed in despair. Wong watched with satisfaction as the Death Army forces relentlessly attacked the Gundam unit. Then his gaze shifted to the Shining Gundam, and he muttered to himself, "Now it's time to deal with this one. I have no need for the so-called treasure left behind by Master Asia. In fact, I'd rather see it erased completely. However, the treasure stored in Maya is an important tool for controlling Domon. With that in mind, the course of action is clear. Very well, Domon Cash, eliminate Master Junior from this world." At that moment, Domon appeared in front of Junior. He spoke with a calm voice. "Earlier, I told you that we would settle this in the Gundam fight 3 days from now. Today is that day." Junior, who had lost his will to fight, instinctively tried to run away. Wong, watching his reaction, laughed in amusement. "What's wrong? It seems you have no desire to fight. But maybe seeing this will change your mind." Then, next to Wong, H appeared bound and suspended in the air. Junior shouted angrily, "Let H go!" In response, Shijima appeared and began to play a flute. Under the influence of Shijima's melody, poisonous cobras crawled up H's body and wrapped themselves tightly around her. If you refuse to fight Shijima Warren, the cobras will sink their fangs into her. Junior's panic and anger rose. He turned to Domon and shouted, "Domon Cash, how can you stand there so calmly while your own daughter is being tortured?" Domon's expression remained unchanged as he replied, "She does not see me as her father. Therefore, she is not my daughter." Junior was stunned. "Is Master Asia's treasure really that important to you?" Domon replied firmly, "That's right. My father's will is also tied to the treasure. That's why I must defeat you and discover its secrets." Junior trembled with anger. Why did my father entrust the King of Hearts Emperor to such a coward? At this rate, even the king within this emperor would be weeping with grief. Domon snapped, yelling at Junior. "Enough! Are you going to fight or not? Make your decision." Junior, equally angry, shot back, "You're the one who needs to shut up." With that, he rushed into the cockpit of the Shining Gundam. The arm of the Master Gundam, still embedded in the abdomen of the Shining Gundam, began to grow. Energy surged through the system, and the Shining Gundam roared to life. Watching the Shining Gundam power up, Domon called out Burning Gundam second. Junior grabbed the Master Gundam's arm, which was still stuck in the Shining Gundam's abdomen, and pulled it free. Then he placed it carefully over the Shining Gundam's own arm. The arm of the Master Gundam fused seamlessly, transforming into an external armor-like extension. Now, it was an extension of the Shining Gundam itself. Both Domon and Junior shouted in unison, "Gundam, fight! Ready, go!" Their battle had begun. Domon launched a fierce attack on Junior. With a swift movement, he unleashed Renpu-Kyaku, a rapid barrage of kicks that whipped up a powerful windstorm. This technique, derived from the Chokyu Hao Deneidan, generated intense winds that could immobilize an opponent and send them spinning uncontrollably. Gritting his teeth, Junior struggled to withstand the attack. Then, with a sudden blow, the Burning Gundam struck the ground. The resulting gust of wind knocked the Shining Gundam down, sending it crashing to the ground. Domon watched Junior with an impressed expression. "You endured that. What about my next move?" He began to channel his energy, preparing to unleash Tenkyo Ken. Suddenly, Burning Gundam's arm was restrained. Lumber Gundam and Mermaid Gundam had stepped in to stop Domon. Graham called to him, "Your opponent is only a child. Stop it, Domincash." Hans also tried desperately to stop Domon. Junior slowly stood up and spoke. "Thank you, both of you. But to truly be the son of Master Asia, I must resist Tenkyo Ken." The Shining Gundam took a defensive stance. Without hesitation, Domon unleashed the Tenkyo Burning Finger. A colossal energy-filled hand struck the Shining Gundam directly, sending it crashing to the ground. Domon stared silently at the falling Gundam. Then, a slow, deliberate clap echoed through the battlefield. Wong, grinning, applauded Domon's performance. "Well done, Domincash. With this, Master Asia's treasure has been preserved." Domon roared at Wong. "Shut up! Stay out of this! This fight is not over yet, isn't that right, Master Junior?" The Shining Gundam trembled, struggling to rise. But just as it tried to stand, its knees buckled, and it nearly collapsed again. Domon yelled at Junior. "What are you doing? You have Kiju Shoujo. You have to fight with that technique. Do you want to disgrace my master and your father? Show me your full strength. Remember Kiju Shoujo." At that moment, Junior heard Master Asia's voice sing his mind next to Domon's voice. The Shining Gundam slowly, but surely rose to its feet, taking up a proper martial arts stance. Seeing this, Domon also took up his fighting stance. Burning Gundam Second and Shining Gundam faced each other again. Their battle was about to continue. Burning Gundam and Shining Gundam crashed with incredible speed and intensity, exchanging blows in rapid succession. Domon carefully analyzed Junior's techniques as they fought. The surrounding Gundam fighters watched in awe, mesmerized by the battle. Hans, however, furrowed his brow in confusion. Something doesn't feel right. Are they really trying to defeat each other? As the battle progressed, something began to change. The movements of Burning Gundam and Shining Gundam shifted, no longer just attacks and counters, but a synchronized flow, as if they were performing a martial arts catered together. Junior sharpened his focus, and suddenly Master Asia's figure overlapped with Domon's in his vision. Then Junior remembered Domon's words from earlier. Master Asia's martial arts, each technique carries its own distinct sound. Without realizing it, Junior had begun to match Domon's movements, mirroring him in perfect harmony. For a brief moment, his concentration wavered. The memory of his father surfaced in his mind, causing his movements to slow. Domon immediately yelled at him, "What are you doing? The kata isn't over yet." Snap back to reality, Junior pushed forward desperately, continuing the sequence, determined to remember his father's teachings. Then, in the next instant, it all came flooding back. Kiju Shoujo. I remember the entire kata. Hearing Junior's declaration, Domon's expression hardened with determination. Then I will answer with my strongest technique. Domon raised his fist in front of him and spoke the familiar words. My hands are burning red. Junior mirrored him, raising his own fist and shouting in response. I roar and scream to defeat you. Both Gundams erupted with intense spiritual energy, their bodies glowing with radiant light. Burning Gundam Second's right hand glowed red, while Shining Gundam's right thumb, encased in the Master Gundam's limb, glowed with a fierce purple aura. Junior shouted shining. Domon roared, burning. Then they unleashed their techniques, together. Finger! As their ultimate attacks collided, an enormous surge of energy spread outward. A massive explosion of light and power engulfed the battlefield. Every single person present was frozen, unable to look away from the overwhelming spectacle. Then, both Domon and Junior ignited the engines of their Gundams to full power and charged at each other. In unison, they roared. Heat! And their blazing palms collided. The final battle had begun. Domon and Junior locked eyes until the moment their attacks collided. But just as the energy erupted in the massive explosion, both of them turned their gaze to the Dark Gundam. The combined force of their attacks hit the Dark Gundam directly. The energy released by the two Gundams hit the Dark Gundam directly, and Wong was caught up in the energy explosion and enveloped in a blinding light. In panic, Wong screamed, "Why did you attack me? Do you not care what happens to Master Asia's treasure?" Domon and Junior replied in unison. "That's right, do what you want with it." At that moment, a shadow appeared behind Wong. It was Shijima. With a calm voice, he spoke. "Then I'll take it." Seizing the opportunity, Shijima reached out and manipulated the switch embedded in Wong's head. A moment later, Master Asia's treasure, the precious orb, was in Shijima's hands. He examined it carefully, then chuckled. "Just as I thought, it's nothing but a simple glass bead." Wong turned to him, trembling with shock. "You are betraying me." Shijima grinned. I never intended to help you in the first place. Then in an instant, Shijima's entire skin peeled away, falling like a discarded snake's mold. And from within, emerging from the disguise was H-Cash. Wong, in shock, turned his gaze to the bound figure he thought was H. But what he saw instead was Shijima bound in ropes. Impossible! When did you switch? Wong demanded, his voice shaking. H grinned. The moment Shijima betrayed the CDGC, of course. She had never really been unconscious. Though Shijima had hit her, knocking her out had only been an illusion. The moment he let his guard down, H had counter-subdued him and disguised herself pretending to be on Wong's side. Domon, seeing H's true form revealed, turned to Junior. Didn't I tell you? There's no way that guy is my daughter. Junior nodded in agreement. Yes, I see what you mean. That man really is a different person. Domon continued. I knew from the beginning that Shijima would betray the CDGC. That's why I warned him. At the end of my battle with Cobra Gundam, I crushed his head under my foot as a warning. Junior sighed and shook his head. That's a terrible idea. If anything, it only made him hold a grudge against you. Domon seemed genuinely surprised. Really? That's how it works. He had truly believed that stepping on someone's head was a foolproof way to deter them. Meanwhile, H turned to Shijima and grinned. A traitor deserves punishment. With that, she raised the fruit to her lips and prayed a sharp, commanding note. Immediately, the cobras that had been coiled around Shijima tightened and sank their fangs into his flesh. Shijima let out a brooding scream. H, unfazed, grinned. You probably have an antidote hidden somewhere, don't you? Just take your punishment like a good little traitor. H tossed the orb to Junior. Junior, this is for you, Junior Cadet, and examine the orb closely. It's true, it's just a glass ornament. They sell them all over near Hong Kong. Domon nodded. Most likely, Master Asia left this as a decoy to fool any thieves. He remembered the moment when Wong had shown him the engraving on the orb. The words inscribed inside were those that only a true student of Master Asia's martial arts would recognize. If the message was something only a trained disciple could understand, then the orb itself had to be something Master Asia had prepared as a fake. It might have been a fake as a treasure, but to Junior it was still his father's true keepsake. Domon remembered his master and spoke with admiration. If you put it in a secret cave, anyone who found it would think it was the real treasure. It was just like Master Asia, the perfect way to hide something. Although of course I saw through it the moment I laid eyes on it. H narrowed her eyes at him. Oh really? You're not just making that up? Domon avoided her gaze, pretending he hadn't heard. Meanwhile Wong, shaken, turned to Domon with desperate eyes. That can't be, then where is the real treasure? Domon answered him with unwavering confidence. It's been here all along, right in front of you. Shining Gundam knelt on the ground and extended his right palm forward. Standing on its outstretched palm, Junior began the Kiju Shoujo. As his movements flowed, the arm of the Master Gundam, now fused with the Shining Gundam, began to grow. With each precise movement, the armor on the Master Gundam's hand slowly peeled away, floating into the air, piece by piece. The discarded armor fragments gathered together, gradually forming a perfect sphere. Master Asia had taught Junior that sound was the key to his martial arts. During his fight with Domon, when their fists had clashed, they had produced a distinct, resonant sound. But that sound was more than just noise. It was a message, a hidden language, one that only those who had truly mastered Master Asia's martial arts could understand. Right before Wong's eyes, Domon and Junior had spoken to each other in a language he could not understand. And through their exchange, Junior had uncovered the hidden words within the sound. The shining orb rests in my hand. That was the message Master Asia had left for Master Junior. Wong looked at Master Asia's treasure with an enraptured expression, his voice filled with admiration. Magnificent, absolutely magnificent. Now, I must have that orb as well, no matter what it takes. With a simple gesture from Wong, a massive wave of Death Army units surged forward, launching an attack on Burning Gundam II and Shining Gundam. But in the next instant, the Death Army forces suddenly exploded and turned into dust. Stunned, Wong turned to see Shadow Gundam emerging from stealth mode as its optical camouflage was deactivated. H grinned and casually thanked Wong. Thank you. Now that the barrier is gone, my Gundam can move freely. She raised her blade and pointed it directly at the Dark Gundam's neck. Well then, surrender quietly. But Wong remained unnervingly calm. What are you talking about? I am a politician. I abhor violence. And so, H narrowed her eyes in suspicion. Then Wong suddenly shouted, Master, if you please. The cockpit of the Dark Gundam creaked open. From within, a figure emerged. It was Master Asia. Or rather Copy Asia, a clone created from the cells of the Dark Gundam. His eyes slowly opened, and with that Episode 5 came to an end. The secret behind the technique that Master Asia taught Junior was finally revealed. And we also got the intriguing addition of Shining Gundam equipped with Master Gundam's right arm. Did you notice? Junior's chant when activating Shining Finger was slightly different from the original. Normally, Shining Finger is activated with the phrase, "It shines and shouts to defeat you." However, Junior said, "It roars and screams to defeat you." This is a fusion of the phrases used for Burning Finger and Shining Finger, a subtle but fascinating mix. And of course, the Shining Finger now enhanced with Master Gundam's right arm, glowing with a deep purple light, was an incredibly cool and powerful sight. If you have a Gunpla or figure, you might want to try to recreate it yourself. How will this story end? The final episode is coming soon, so please stay tuned. Thank you for watching to the end. See you next time on the show.